Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show.
Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. This is the last episode of 2025, which is just crazy. I am actually kind of excited, though, that this year is ending. Please tell me I'm not the only one. I am ready to put 2025 in my rear view mirror. Wicked excited about that. Okay, I'm so jazzed about this episode today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. We're going to dive right in. And I also just want to say thank you so much for being here and spending a little bit of time with me. If you're a regular listener, if you're one of my loyal listeners, thank you so much. I just couldn't do it without you. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Okay, so this episode, I'm calling it Walking Down Another Street. So really see this as an invitation for us to walk down another street together. Okay, so I'm going to share with you this poem, right? And the first time I ever heard this poem was, I know I was watching Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer was the one who introduced me to this, but I don't know if it was on a PBS special, you know how you'd always be on the PBS, or it was like some Hay House, I Can Do It event. I don't know what it was, but I remember it was him, and it's a really simple piece, and it's really simple, but it's really powerful, and it deeply landed in me. And I wanted to share it with you. Now, some of you may have already heard this sucker. If you haven't, buckle up, enjoy it. If you have, trust me. Repetition is the mother of all learning, and it never hurts to hear something smarty pants twice. You know what I mean? So this poem is called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. And it was written by a friend of Wayne's, a woman named Portia Nelson. And Portia was a singer. She was a songwriter. She was an author. She was an actor. And this poem, Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters, comes from her book, There's a Hole in My Sidewalk, The Romance of Self-Discovery. So that already gives you a little sneak peek into this. Now, there's a reason, of course, why I'm sharing this with you. So stay with me. It'll be beneficial. Okay. So, and this part made me laugh. So Portia was attending some sort of a seminar, right? And all the attendees were asked to write down on a 5x7 piece of paper or a 5x7 card their autobiography. But they could only write their autobiography in 5 chapters. And Wayne said that they were only allowed to use 5x7. They were only allowed to use 5x7 cards to help people basically keep it short. And when I think about this, it makes me laugh so hard because we all know how we all love to get up into our stories and just go on and on and on about all the things that have happened and then this happened and this happened. Look, I'm a storyteller. I love to tell a good story. But we can all be a little like attached to those stories, right? So the people running the seminar were smart and they were like 5x7. I'm surprised they didn't say 4x6. Okay, so here is the poem, Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. Listen to this. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend that I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in this same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it, it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit, but my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. This now, it's so simple. It's so good. It's so smart. Oh my God. So let's break this sucker down. The heartbeat of this poem, the heartbeat of this message is she's basically using this simple analogy of a sidewalk with a hole in it, right? But it's demonstrating and describing these different stages of our own unconscious behavior. And then how the unconscious behavior over time, if we're willing, right, shifts to realization. And then it shifts again, ultimately, to our conscious choice where our power lies. And I love this. So if we look at the progressions of the chapters in the first chapter, she falls in, or let's just say you and I, right? These patterns of behaviors that we do, these habits, these conditioned patterns and habits and ways of being and thinking and speaking and the choices we make, all of it, right? And this is very common also. I have no doubt, and I know that this poem has been shared many, many, many times in recovery circles and in 12-step programs. And it makes sense because it's really also like it's like the breakdown of addiction. But this is also can be applied to any of our unconscious behaviors, our patterns, our habits, our bullshit, basically, right? So chapter 1, she's talking about, she falls in, feels lost, helpless and clueless, and you think it's not your fault. So you do the thing, the whole, you don't even see it, you fall in, you're stuck, you're helpless, you're hopeless, you don't think it's your fault. Okay, chapter 2, you fall in again. You're pretending you didn't see the same damn hole that you already fell in before. But you're still insisting that it isn't your fault. Even though you're here again, you're still insisting it's not your fault, right? Chapter 3, you see the hole and you fall in again out of habit. Oh my God, how many times have we done this? All of us, all of us. But this time, this is where it's different. You realize it's your fault. And you've been in and out of this hole so many times now, you know how to get out. You get out of it immediately, right? Chapter 4, you walk around the hole. you just walk around that sucker, right? Fantastic. Chapter 5, this is when we've really made some progress. And this is when we walk down a whole damn different street. Like, how fantastic is that, right? And it makes me think about A Course in Miracles, because A Course in Miracles talks about how, first of all, A Course in Miracles always talks about how there's but two emotions that we have, right? One we were born with, love. One we learned here in the human experience, fear. Okay? There's two of them. There's love and fear. Like, that's it. All the other things, they fall underneath this category, right? So A Course in Miracles kind of thinks of everything in these two things. They would say that only love is real. Like, fear is a figment of our own imagination, these hallucinations, this creation of the ego mind, believing it's separate from its source. And it creates all of it, the sickness, the guilt, the suffering, the separation, the specialness, like all the bullshit, right? That's the fear. Only thing that's really real is capital L, love. Okay, so Course in Miracles talks about how we take detours into fear all the time. So when you're driving down the highway and all of a sudden you find out like you've taken the wrong exit. I'm always like, this is like when you're heading towards love, like you're really trying to do it. You're really trying to like grow and be present and be more loving and compassionate and kind and kind of not be a selfish dick, like you're trying to really work on yourself. But we take these detours into fear. I sometimes talk about it like we go on the wrong side of the duplex. I do this whole analogy with people in the nest, right? I talk about this. So on one side, you have all the fear behaviors. On the other side is where love is, where spirit is, right? So in A Course in Miracles says we take these detours into fear. And I would always say to people, like, when you realize you've taken a detour into fear, that is not the time to keep going. That is not the time to then either find a campsite where you set up camp and you set up your tent and you build a fire and you park your ass there. Or it's not the time to keep driving and see if there's any houses you can buy. Like, we're not here to buy real estate when we realize, detour into fear. Now, it's okay, I always say, like, if you realize you've taken a detour into fear and you need to just like find a rest stop for a moment, you need to like get your bearings and have a little snack and take a rest, right? Like that's fine. That's okay, right? As soon as you get your bearings, you better bang a Yui, like lickety split, like you recognize it. And this is the whole thing, right? Ken Wapnick, who was a really great Course in Miracles teacher, he used to say that you know you're making progress on the spiritual path, not when you like never take a detour into fear again, when you realize you have left love, you have left your right mind, and you've gone into crazy town, you've gone into the realm of fear. Because it's not that you never take these detours into fear anymore. It's how quickly you realize you've done it. That's how we know we're making progress. And it kind of points right to what she's saying here in chapter 4 and chapter 5 of her poem. She's like, you start to walk around the hole. Or eventually you just start to walk down a whole different street. And this is the thing that I'm talking about for us in 2026. I really would love to invite you to let's all walk down a different street together, because I think 2025 has been chock full of fear and dissonance and separation and all of this like infighting. Imagine if like we're all one big family and there has just been shit ton of craziness, of hate, of just separation and all of it. Now, look, we can't control what other people out there are doing. All we can control is ourselves and the choices that we're making, right? We can walk around the hole. We can walk down a whole different street. We can see the hole. We can warn other people about the hole. We can put up a little sign that says, don't go in the hole, right? I mean, we can't save people from themselves. Some people are going to insist on going in the hole. And I made some notes here, I said, here's the thing though about this poem, because chapter 4 and chapter 5, right? Walk around the hole or go down a different street. They sound great. They sound great. But here's the thing. Let's be real about human behavior. Let's be real about how deeply patterned, how deeply ingrained these habits and conditioning goes, right? Here's the thing. Sometimes it takes us a while to recognize that there is a hole. Sometimes it takes us a while, right, to even recognize that there's even a fucking hole. Sometimes, right, it takes us a while to recognize that we're in the hole. We don't even know we're in the hole because we've normalized our behaviors. We've normalized feeling bad. We've normalized and familiarized our suffering. So we just kind of go like, oh, this is just how it is, right? Remember that I always talk about the Bruce Hornsby song. That's just the way it is, right? Some things will never change. You know the lyrics to that song. And he says, but don't you believe them, right? Don't you believe them? We are all capable of change. I always say, as long as I am alive, conscious, breathing, and aware, I'm going to be able to create transformation and change, okay? But number one, sometimes it takes us a while to recognize we're in the hole, that there is a hole. Sometimes we don't want to take responsibility that we're in the hole, right? Because we're getting something from being hopeless and helpless and behaving, right? Like a victim, right? Sometimes we're getting some sort of subconscious payoff. Or sometimes we're getting like an external, right? We get attention, or we get like, oh, poor you, or let me help you, or you manipulate people and they do shit for you and it's never your fault. And you got everybody running around, right? Like your little minions, right? So sometimes we don't want to take responsibility for it because we're getting some positive intention. We have, and that's what the subconscious does. It has a positive intention, but it often is wreaking havoc. Okay, number 3. Sometimes we get out of the hole, but we fall right back in like a trust fall, right? We get out, fall right back in like a few moments later. God bless us, all right? Sometimes we don't know that it's okay to walk around the hole because maybe nobody else in your family has ever walked around the hole. Maybe everybody just insists that you get in, right? Get into that, that old analogy. I hate how so many analogies and metaphors use like suffering towards animals to depict them, right? When you talk about like the crabs or the frogs in the boiling water, which I hate, right? But it's this idea of like, the crabs will try to pull the other ones back down into the pot or whatever. Sometimes your family members don't know that there's a better way. They don't know that you can walk around the hole. Sometimes they don't want you to walk around the hole because they're more comfortable with you being small. They don't want you to get out. They don't want you to, like, quote unquote, get too big for your britches or to shine too bright, or who do you think you are? Right? So you may not know. You might have to be the pattern breaker. You might have to be the spell breaker in your family, right? You might have to be the first one to say, hey, there's a fucking hole here and I'm going to walk around it. You don't have to like it. I'm going around the hole. Okay. And then here's the last one. Sometimes that chapter 5, right? Walk down a whole different street. But here's the thing. Some of us don't even know that there's a different street. We only know that one street. We don't even know that another street is available to us. Depending on where you've gone and maybe how many books you've read or what you've been exposed to or what your, economic situation has allowed. And this is why I always say about libraries, like library cards, man, are free and they are the portal. They are the thing. They give the poor kids a leg up because it puts us on an even playing field when you can get your mind into a place where there's books to read. Not everybody can read. I get that. What I'm saying is that sometimes, right? I'm not making excuses. These 5 things are just sometimes realities in people's lives. But here's the thing. If you can hear the sound of my voice, you now know about the hole. No more excuses. And if you need help getting out of the hole or realizing there's a hole or walking around or getting better at taking a different street, this is the different ways that people work with me in the Nest, my spiritual mentoring group program, my little community that's amazing, or one-to-one work or whatever, right? Some people come to work with me, to do more like yoga classes or workshops or Thai yoga body work or assisted stretching or whatever. I do all kinds of stuff. Some people just listen to the podcast, right? Here you are. Thank you so much. But here's the thing I want to say, right? When we recognize that we are stuck in our habits and our patterns, I'm tapping my forehead right now. This message is from me also. P.S. I do this podcast for my ears to hear it first because I can be kind of a knucklehead, right? When we recognize we're stuck, I'm tapping on my forehead like I'm doing EFT. When we recognize we're stuck in our habits and patterns and conditioning, right? Remember this poem. Remember our power, the power that is available to us, right? Personal choice is a power. The grace of the wisdom that is contained here, right? I'm dropping some spiritual breadcrumbs right now for you as you're tiptoeing past Christmas and Hanukkah, right? And Kwanzaa, all those things into the new year. We are going to walk down another street, hopefully together. I would love that, right? So here's the thing. There's power available to us in personal choice. There's grace in this wisdom, and there is deep transformation in this self-development and personal growth work, in the spiritual work, right? But I kind of think about, as humans, like the 4 buckets or the 4 table legs, right? You have the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual. And we want to be able, and it's really hard. I'm going to do a whole podcast about balance in 2026. But we do want that table to be somewhat balanced. You ever try to eat on a table? It's not balanced. It's not soothing at all. It's like gunk gunk, right? Every time you move in your water, freaking spills. Okay. The other thing I loved about this poem is it illustrates how we need awareness to be able to change the destructive patterns in the first place, right? Once we become aware of them, and I do a whole podcast on this way back in the day, the 4 C's and the 4 A's of lasting change, right? So once we have awareness, we can start to work on those destructive patterns. And gradually, if we're willing to pay attention, if we're willing to stay awake, if we're willing to take responsibility, right, then we can progress from blindly falling in that hole again and again and again, right? We can get out of those same fucking holes to eventually choosing a whole different path, a whole new path. Let's just all double amen hands to that. The realization that there is a better way. When A Course in Miracles says, this great line, right? And it says, trials. This is what this is describing. It's a trial. You keep doing the same thing. And A Course in Miracles says this, trials are but lessons, right? Trials are but lessons learned. So where you used to do these old patterns and habits, you no longer have to do them, right? Trials are but lessons presented once again, right? For where before you made this old choice, right? The wise self inside of you, call it the voice for God, Holy Spirit, Spirit, call it Jesus, call your intuition, your gut instinct, the inner teacher. I don't care what you call it. But there's something inside of you that calls to you and says, my brother, my sister, my person, choose again. Trials are but lessons failed to learn, presented once again. So where before you made a choice, right? The Christ in you calls to you. The self in you calls to you. The smarty pants, the divine intelligence in you calls to you and says, my brother, my sister, choose again. And that's what this poem is all about. You can choose to walk down a whole different street. And I would love to walk along beside you as we do it. So here's to 2026. Here's to us going in. I might be making a few changes. I don't know, to the podcast cover art. I got a bunch of things. I'm always like hatching a plan. I'm always up to shenanigans, right? So I got some cool things going on in January. I'm going to be doing some yoga classes on Monday nights, just in January, at the Pembroke Pines Country Club, which I'm wicked excited about. They have a big, beautiful room and a fireplace. It's going to be yoga by the fire. And this is, I'm saying all of this in 2025 if you're listening. This is for January 2026. And that last Monday of the month, my sweetie and I are going to be doing live music and yoga by the fire. That's going to be wicked cool. I have some Tuesday night yoga classes coming up, maybe some Thursday night yoga classes coming up, and I'm doing Thai yoga, assisted stretching, and of course, always spiritual mentoring and coaching, hot to hot days, all kinds of stuff. You can find out all about it at KarenKenney.com. Just spell my last name right and you're good to go. Kenney. And that's it. Just keep your eyes peeled, right? Stick around. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I love you. I care about you. And I hope you just have the most fantastic holiday season with you and yours, your family, with your friends, whoever you spend it with. If you spend it alone, right, by choice, enjoy your company. If you don't spend it alone by choice, maybe reach out. Maybe there's some folks around, a neighbor, a friend, a cousin, a gathering somewhere, go to a yoga class, right? But be around people if you're feeling a little lonely, if you're feeling like you want to get a little connected, okay? Listen to the podcast. You can always pop my voice into your ear holes in your head. So, all right, you guys, look, 2025 is going to be behind us before we know it. Welcoming in 2026. And again, always think you can find these old, what are these things called? Podcast episodes that I did on here's just a very simple thing to be thinking about in 2026 as well. Ask yourself these questions. What do you want to let go of? Right? I always say, think of it like this. What do you want to let go? What are you going to keep, right? It's sticking around. What do you want to let go of? And what do you want to grow? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? Get rid of it. What do you want more of? Bring it in. What do you want to keep and expand, right? So maybe that'll be helpful for you. Okay, look, wherever you go, last time signing off in 2025, wherever you go, may you leave the animals and yourself and the other humans and the environment and the planet better than how you found it. Wherever you go, may you and your energy, your presence, and your love be a blessing. Bye.